There's one truth about intimate relationships that people are not aware of or they don't want to admit to. And it's the fact that if you are in a relationship with someone, you are manipulating them. And that's what I want to explore today, because understanding this concept of co-manipulation that exists in every intimate relationship, we can also understand the abuse and we can do something about it. So quite a few years ago, I read a book by Sonia Choquette, Trust Your Vibes, and in there is one of my all-time favorite quotes. So Sonia writes that ultimately, we all want the same thing. We all want to be loved. But some of us have simply a really bad way of asking for it. So let's look at an average person. We all want love. We want to be loved, but we don't understand what love is. We don't know how to express true love, and we don't know how to receive love because we don't know what love is. We confuse love with romance, with falling in love. But all of these things, this is what we see in the movies, in the Hollywood romance movies. That's not what love is. Love and being in love, it's two different energies of two different frequencies. Being in love and this romance that we're chasing, the same thing that we see in movies, that comes from your second chakra. And that's the source of emotion, of romance, of fantasies, and also drama. Pure love, the true love, the one that we really long for, comes from the heart chakra. It's a whole different energy center. It comes from a different part of your body, both the physical and energy body. Two different things. We want this, but we think we're going to get this, the love, by chasing romance. So what happens is that we are these desperate beings with holes because we don't feel complete, because we carry all these limiting beliefs, because someone, when we were young, told us we're not good enough or that we're not lovable. So we have these holes, we're pierced. And from that place, because we so desire to feel loved, we go into relationships expecting and hoping that this will make us feel complete. And at first it does. It does. It gives us a great illusion that we are lovable, we're amazing, we deserve it. And that feeling is so precious. So we're not going to let it go. We're not going to let the person go because that person brought that feeling to us. And this is when manipulation starts. We all manipulate our partners to staying with us. But when I say the word manipulation, I don't mean it necessarily in a bad way. Manipulating something means adjusting the moving parts so that you get the outcome that you want. Now, the outcome that you want is being in a relationship with this person. And even when the relationship is not happy anymore, you still have the memory of how you felt when you first met. So you're still hoping for that feeling to come back, even if it hasn't been there for many years. So you're going to hold on to this person because at least with this person you felt that good. You felt love in the past. So how do we manipulate? It starts in a very subtle way. As a woman, for example, we dress up, we take care of our bodies, we put makeup, we wear jewelry. How often as a woman have you said, or how often as a man you have heard a woman say, I want to look pretty for him? Or anytime when one of you is going through a difficult time, and what is the other person doing? You hold them, you listen to them, you nurture them. When they are sick, you take care of them. You listen to their successes, you support them. Now, we like to think that we do it because we're decent human beings and because we love them. And yes, some of this is true, but not all of it. This is not actually why you do it, because if that was true, you would be showing up like this for every single human being on this planet, and you're not. Because we don't have this capacity to love people unconditionally. We're not there just yet. That's what the conscious mind is trying to convince you of. That simply this love is so amazing. You love them so much, they love you so much that you want to do all of these things. If that was really coming from the place of unconditional love, like we like to think, then if that person didn't care about us, we would still do that. If they never said thank you, if they never reciprocated any affection towards us, we would still be showing up like that for them. But we wouldn't, right? Because there is an agenda to all of this behavior. So normally what happens is that all of our behavior actually the reasons for our behavior, it comes from the old or the midbrain, meaning it comes from this reptile animalistic conditioning. Like, for example, when you touch something hot and you move away your hand right away because it's hot, it's danger. Or from the midbrain, which is the center of our emotions. So all of this is our subconscious mind, and this is where all of this conditioning and the fears and the inner child lies. So we decide to manipulate our partner into staying with us. We want to show that we are this best partner they could ever get. We're like on our best behavior because we're hoping that through that they're going to stay with us. And sure, what your conscious mind is telling you is, like we mentioned, is because you love them. You do it because you love them. Why would your conscious mind ever tell you that, oh, you do it because you think you're worthless and that you don't deserve love and you're desperate to do anything it takes to keep this person in your life? But that's what actually is happening on the subconscious level. Because deep inside, and I mean very, very deep, we do feel like we don't deserve love. And you might have done different work, healing, but truth is, 99.9999999% on this percent of people on this planet, even if they did a lot of spirituality and personal growth work, they still on a very deep level feel like they don't deserve to be loved. And that part is acting out. That is what makes us manipulate our partner. Now, like I said, this manipulation can be sweet, like taking care of them and taking care of yourself so you are at your best. But it can also go into the emotional manipulation and emotional abuse. And it can also go into the physical abuse. That's very important to understand. Abuse is a form of manipulation. Now, we all manipulate in relationships, but some of us choose the path of abuse as the way to manipulate. And this is something that I find actually really interesting because that opens the door into changing this behavior. If we know that every person will show up in a relationship and will manipulate the partner, so why is it that some people choose to manipulate in a loving and caring way by bringing breakfast every Sunday morning for their beloved, and other people will manipulate by using physical power or emotional abuse? See, when we enter relationships, we enter them with a toolkit. There are certain things we've learned and we discovered and we developed in our life, and we use whatever is available for us. So if I, for example, if I have spent many years doing Tantra and learning about relationships and love languages, then these are the tools that are available for me. But if someone didn't get this, and instead, if they were beaten up by their father, and all they ever saw was the father being physically abusive to their mother, these are the tools that they learn. And these are the only tools, or the most available tools they have later in the relationship for their manipulation. We have this tendency in our society of thinking black or white, this or that. It's like we don't allow anything in between. We don't allow any crossing in between these two concepts. But the truth is, no one is purely good and no one is purely bad. And truth is that abusers, they're not monsters. They're human beings. They're walking around you. Go out on the street and tell me, can you see any monsters? Is there anyone who looks like a scary creature? No, because people who abuse, they're not monsters. They're not bad. There's something that made them behave in this way. Bad behavior doesn't make a person bad. Now, it doesn't excuse their behavior, and that's very important. It's not to say that, oh, now that we understand why they do it, suddenly like they're off the hook and we need to, just like not take any consequences for this. This is not the truth. Bad behavior is still bad, but it doesn't make a person bad. A perfectly good person can engage in bad behavior, and a very bad person can engage in good behavior. These things keep crossing. And what I would love to see more is just understanding of why people do what they do. Because unfortunately what happens these days is that if we hear of someone abusing someone, we automatically say they're the monster, they're bad, how could they do it? We basically take away any humanity that's there, any goodness that's in there. We just strip them of this and we just look at them as this bad person. And then we put them in jail or we find them. But what are we actually solving with this? Very little, because the truth is that you're punishing someone for something. But how is that impacting all of the other people around the world who may be abusing? We have this idea that we can correct behavior by punishment. But all psychologists say that punishment doesn't work. If we want to change the behavior in long term, we actually need to use reward system. Now, reward system is more effective, but it's not efficient because it takes more time. So you have to be committed to the process. With punishment, you do it right away, boom, and you can feel better about yourself because you're like, oh, I did something. But in long term, you're not making a difference. So if we take people who are abusers, who are aggressive, if we take them, we pull them in jail, we're punishing them, but we're not stopping the behavior. Because all the other people who are still left, they will continue abusing their partners. And the person going to jail, chances are when they get out, they'll continue the same behavior. And because putting them in jail or fining them, it's something that hits their pride, hits their ego, now they have more anger. And again, still, the only tools that they have available in their life that they know of is the abuse. So now they have even more energy, and still the only way to express it is through abuse because that's the only thing they know. So what I would love to see more of is just trying to understand why people do what they do. And instead of punishing them for the bad behavior, let's bring them back into their humanity, into the good part of them. Let's teach them the tools for the healthy manipulation. Let's show them that if you really want your partner to stay with you, instead of hitting them, you can treat them the best way you can. And you can be the best person you can. Invite them so that they want to do this thing, so your partner wants to stay with you. Imagine if we can teach people, concepts like love languages. And then in a relationship, you make a commitment that every day you're going to express to your partner that you love them twice a day in their love language. So you are sure that they understand they are loved. That you talk to your partner and you understand what their needs are, what their biggest fears are, and then you can meet that. You can meet those needs and you can make sure that those fears are not triggered. We all have our way how we want to be loved, how we want to be treated. Imagine that entering a relationship, you talk about, this is my manual of how to love me. That's how you love me, so I feel loved and I feel happy. If we exchange that, and then that's how we would show up in relationships. We need to teach each other. We need to teach people these good tools for relationships. And yes, it is manipulation. But keep the awareness. Okay, I know I may be doing this to keep the person in my life. But if the tools that I'm using are positive and they're good and they make me and the person happier, then what's wrong with that? Like I said, manipulation is not about forcing anyone to do something they don't want. It's simply working with what you have to get the outcome that you desire. And instead of using force and putting people down, we can get those results by simply loving and being caring. We need to teach those tools. And this is how we get to spread the change. No, I'm not saying this will solve the abuse, and I'm definitely not excusing these things that have been and still are happening in the world. I think it's horrible. I am not a victim of abuse, and I cannot even imagine what it must feel like. But I know what I want to see. I know what kind of relationship I want to be. And I know what kind of emotions I want to see in the world. And for me, the way to do it is by spreading more and more the understanding of human behavior while we do this. And not punishing, but working with the person, giving them more tools so that they don't need to go into that space, into that darkness to get love, which is ultimately what we all desire.